The following is a presentation of Playfly Sports Properties.
Man, I got it my hand in my bag.
Buckeyes and trying to turn to the goal line. Puts the football over.
Cause man, I got it swag. Man, I got it swag. My
Hands to Gifty.
He stopped him.
You know I'm popping tag.
Bad snap. Bobble. Scooped up. Here come the Spartans. Down the sideline. Racing into the end zone.
He hits it! He hits it! He did it!
This is Sparta!
The first thing I told him this morning, okay, I said, write this down. Okay, you will always be defined on how you handle adversity. You know, how you respond to adversity, not just on the football field, but beyond, outside of football, in life. You know, how you, because you're going to be in adverse situations. I mean, it's everything. We're all adults here. We know that everything is not always peaches and cream. I mean, there's bumps in the road, and some are severe, and some not so much. But there's adversity, and it doesn't get any easier as you go. I mean, you're sitting here waiting for the easy bus to come around. The easy bus isn't coming.
Words from Michigan State head football coach Mel Tucker in his weekly press conference. Michigan State now drops 2-3, 0-2 in Big Ten play with a healthy loss on the road in Maryland. This is Sparta. I'm your host, Jason Strayhorn, along with Otis Wiley and Jehuu Caulcrick. Well, gentlemen, let's get right into it. Michigan State goes on the road to College Park, Maryland on Saturday, and the offensive and defensive woes continue, although there was some signs of improvement.
Yeah, you're right, Stray. Michigan State goes on the road. This is a game that they could have won, and this is a game that they should have won. Did a lot of good things, but did a lot of bad things. Did a lot of things that came back to hurt us. We'll take a deeper dive into that as we go on with the show. But, you know, obviously a disappointing trip to College Park for Michigan State.
Yeah, Stray. It started out as a 7-on-7 game on those first two drives, right? And, you know, the opportunity to just the defense to give 3 and outs. Just get a couple 3 and outs and keep that momentum going. I think the tide would have turned, but you just felt like the adjustments didn't go as planned. Once we started to get into that first half, it was competing. In that second half, it was just like, what happened to that team to have that kind of drive going into it? So,
you know, you look at it, you say, you know, Michigan State, they go out there on defense first. You know, we've been talking about that a lot during this season. Maryland goes right down the field for 93 yards in 12 plays, capped off by a 15-yard touchdown by Antoine Littleton to open up the game on the road against a defense. That's not good to start, is it, Otis?
Oh, I mean, absolutely not. Clearly, the momentum, like we're at their home, on their home turf, and you knew that you have a dynamic quarterback, you had elite running backs, and it almost, that script, I mean, Jay, you can probably attest to it. You have a script that's called for that first drive, and every play on that script was a success. There was no hiccup. There was no pressure. And it's almost like we've worked and warmed up for that moment, and then it's almost a shocker that they're running the plays that we kind of seen and prepped for. And so when a first drive happens like that, like you kind of rub your head and be like, man, same woes happening, man. Same things happening. So I think we responded. The offense came out and responded very well. And then that should have gave the defense like, all right, we just need to get 3 and out. And since our offense is clicking, and it still just didn't happen.
So what you're saying, you see it feeding off one another, right? The offense feeding off the defense and vice versa, right, Jehuu?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And a couple of weeks ago, Coach Tucker said the big thing is they got to play complementary football. And if you're able to do that, if your defense goes and gets a 3 and out, and your offense goes out and gets some type of points, be it field goal or touchdown, or even sustain a long drive. Because if you're in the offensive room, you have the saying, there's a mantra in a lot of offensive room of end every drive with a kick. That being a punt, a field goal, an extra point, that's how you end your drive. And that the defense is going to play off that. They're going to be able to get some rest and do that. But, you talked about, Otis hit a little bit about that. Maryland won the coin toss. They elected to receive the ball right away because they wanted to make a statement at home, opening up the Big Ten in their own field. They came out there, those first 10, 15 plays that are scripted went exactly to plan. Even in the third and shorts, they had the exact calls planned for it, and we weren't able to capitalize on it. But the thing that really impressed me with Michigan State is offensively, early on in the game, they did a lot of things well.
Yeah, and to Maryland's credit, Talia, his brother Tua was in the news for the multiple concussions this week because of his multiple concussions down at the Miami Dolphins, and prayers go out to him and his family. But Talia looked very good with 32 of 41 on his throws for 314 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, he was hitting on all cylinders, doing things. Going into the game, one of the things that I was saying is, he's got to beat us throwing the ball, take away his legs, make it one dimensional, and he did that. He beat us throwing the football. He had his way. He had time with the offensive line. They gave him a lot of time so he could sit back there and really find his spots in the defense.
Yeah, I think we talked about last week on the recap or preview is that keep him in the box. And you saw a play on that clip where he scrambles, and that's when we're in a whole heap of trouble when you're pointing at your receivers like, hey, go that way, and you have time to truly just throw the ball. That's where you're getting your D-line going east and west, sideline to sideline, scrambling versus keeping them in the pocket. And then you have people in the vicinity that are just too far away to make a play on the ball. And you saw that the entire night of just wide open receivers because there's no one in the communication of the hook curl or getting depth further enough. And then you just broken plays, man, just make him, he made us look like, we had so many holes in our defense when in reality, we're doing the drops. If you look at the film, we're doing the proper drops, which is not getting further depth. And then we're also, everything's in front of that second line of our linebackers. So you see just the kind of depth perception. I don't know if it's off, meaning I don't know where my landmark is, or I'm not being able to run pass properly quick enough to get a proper read.
That's a good point, Otis. And we're going to ask for your expertise as we continue to break this game down as we go into the game day stat breakdown for This is Sparta, presented to you by IHOP and the IHOP. Don't forget the 2x2 breakfast combo equals one delicious meal. Enjoy 2 pancakes, 2 eggs your way, and 2 pieces of bacon for only $5, only at IHOP. Hurry in and enjoy this deal for a limited time. Dine in only. Price and participation may vary. Restrictions do apply. And Jehuu, we're going to get right into the run game for Michigan State. Run game, we talk about it ad nauseum here on This is Sparta, and it's something that really is near and dear to both you and I's heart. You're a running back, I'm an offensive lineman, and we understand that the running game can open up so much for whoever is playing quarterback for Michigan State. And Michigan State has 3 running backs who played. Jalen Berger, 9 carries for 34 yards. Jarek Broussard, 3 carries for 16 yards. And Elijah Collins, who made an appearance with 5 carries, 36 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, the run game is important. We have the Michigan State especially has the mantra, pound, green, pound. If you want to win football games, you have to run to win. If you want to win Big Ten football games, you're going to have to run the ball to win. Offensively for Michigan State, between the three backs, we called 17 run plays. I know Thorne had 5 runs there, but they were not designed runs, so I don't consider those as a called run play. You can't win a Big Ten game running the football 17 times only. You have to run the football, find some success running the football in order to open the pass game. If you want the pass game to work, you have to run the football, get your offensive line, get them that confidence, going downhill, mauling people. Your running backs will start getting that confidence. And then what happens is the defense gets on their heels. All right, now they're playing run. They're being sucked up to run. Then you do a play action. Then you do something different. And then your playbook offensively opens up at a bigger magnitude, and it's a lot easier to call a game if you're an offensive coordinator, if you have both run game and pass game going.
Otis, you've played on the defensive side of the ball. As from a defensive perspective, when a team is continuing to run at you, even though you may be having early defensive success, is that something in the back of your mind when you have a guy like Choo running the rock at you 10, 15, 20 times, and you're like, I hope they stop calling this guy's number, or does it not matter to you?
Oh, no, it matters. I mean, you talk about bruising, right? Like you get a bruiser who just wears and tears on your defense, hit after hit. This guy's coming at you every time he touches the rock. Now, you think about it, these guys aren't able to get into a rhythm. If Elijah's out there, he gets you to the end zone on that touch. Feed the man the ball. Like, just keep feeding him until he can't go anymore. And I don't think we've had that where you're able to get that guy to get a couple possessions where his motor's running. He's able to start to get that confidence. He ran that touchdown and he made a play out of nothing, really, because you look at that offensive lineman, they did shift to kind of do a little blocking scheme for him, but he bounced out, made one miss, and no one wants to tackle him because he's coming humming downfield. And so, he gets one touchdown, and me personally, I wasn't a running back, but I think, Jay, you can attest to this. Then you pull the man out, and then he's getting cold. I mean, it's windy. It was not a warm day, so it's an opportunity for him to just feed that man the ball and let him put the team on his back, because he has the mantra of the Spartan dog way of let's go pound, great pound. And then to that point, we start seeing the flickers. We start seeing the pass down the field where people are our tight ends wide open on the crossing route because they're now having to attest and make Elijah Collins a focal point. Well, then you put the other guys in, they're not reading those holes properly, man. Like it's mind blowing to see it, where I know the kid has worked his tail off and to be able to keep that going. And so it's kind of the question of the day is, how do we lead into this week, knowing that this defense that we're about to come against is hardcore, run pass, all across the board. Let's feed this guy the rock.
Yeah, Jehuu, you know how this goes when you're a running back. You share time with Javon Ringer, another very good all-time running back from Michigan State. Is there a certain rhythm that you would like to get into? We hear coaches talk about we're going to go with the hot hand. In this game, the hot hand seemed to be number 24, yet they went away from him late in the ball game.
Yeah, definitely. You want to go with the hot hand. That's running back by committee. The hot hand plays. Everyone in the running back room understands and knows that, going into the game. Michigan State, and I said this in a previous podcast before, this is true running back by committee here. They're going series, and you can't do that. You cannot go series because one person's going to be hot one game, one person's not going to be hot one game. And at the end of the day, too, I get it. You want to eat just as bad as the next person, but running backs should be going to coaches and be like, hey, he's hot right now. Feed him. Give him the ball. Javon and I used to do that all the time. We will go to our running backs coach and say, hey, I'll be like, hey, Rings is hot right now. Let him eat. He'll go and say, hey, Choo-Choo's hot right now. Let him eat. That's how it goes. And that's how you build that confidence off each other as running backs. And when you're in there and your teammate, your running mate believes that you're the guy, you know what you're going to do? You're going to run 10 times harder to prove that point right. All right. Elijah Collins, I don't know what happened. I don't know what he did, who he wronged or what. but he's not getting the football enough. He needs to get the football more. He is right now the back that is running hard, running downhill, making life a little easier for the offensive line, making the offensive lineman get that confidence boost, get that juice. When you're an offensive line, you're in the huddle. You tell your guys, hey, you give me 5, I give you 5. At the end of the day, your offensive line see you pass them. That's a great sight for them. All right. So Elijah Collins needs to get more touches. There's no way the kid, has 5 carries, 36 yards, and 1 touchdown, and the rest of the time he's in there is for pass protection late in the game. That is absolutely asinine, and some change has to be made. Elijah Collins needs to get more touches if the Spartan offense wants to go.
It's currently Elijah Collins for the season sitting at 14 carries, 94 yards, 3 touchdowns, folks. And that's good for 6.7 yards per carry. That's a nice ball game, isn't it, for either of you? If a guy came to you and said, hey, this was my game, my body of work, 14 carries, 94 yards, 3 touchdowns, I'd say you had a hell of a game.
That's a great stat line the next day reading in the paper. And you walk through that football facility the next day after a game with your chest puffed out a little bit. Right. Being like, yeah, I'm the guy. I can carry this team.
Without question. We show him plays here of him moving the pile and the flea flicker. Like you said, it works when you have a running back that people key on. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question about chemistry. Now, what it seems to me that with you and Javon, Choo, you guys had a great chemistry. And a year ago, since the advent of the transfer portal, it seemed to be that Michigan State struck gold in bringing in so many new players, but everyone seemed to get along so well. I mean, look at that. Elijah Collins, a guy who almost had 1,000 yards 3 years ago. In comes Kenneth Walker III. He becomes Kenneth Walker's biggest cheerleader. Right. Now, I'm not hearing those same things coming out of that locker room. Do you guys get a sense that maybe chemistry or, they may need to work on, one for all for one for all, those kind of camaraderie things a little bit more to get more success out of the guys in the backfield?
Well, I think, like you talked about, Javon and I, we had a unique relationship as to because a lot of, behind the scenes stories to see who would start and who would go in. We would play rock, paper, scissors. That's just the way that it was with us. And the coaches had belief and trust in us. Really
rock, paper, scissors?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3, shoot. Best of 3.
That's who got the start.
Yes. And,
that's scientific.
Yeah. And, we would know we'll play off each other like that because we understood, if there was a game that, I won the rock, paper, scissors game and in the first 8, it's a screen or something in his wheelhouse. I'd be like, hey, I won this, but you take it. You owe me one, and that's how we would go about it. But we understood each other. We were because we had that belief that one win, we all win. Because if I'm going in there and I'm the bruiser, pounding, he comes in. He can do those other things now. We're going to tire the defense out. He can run away from them. He can put a move on them and make a miss. And I think that's where we're missing the point with Elijah Collins and Broussard and Berger. Those guys are elusive, but Collins is the pounder. He's the one that can go and get those tough, dirty yards, wear the defense down. And then those guys come in. You can run your screen game. You can swing them out, toss it to them. You can put them out in the pass game and in the pass route there. So that's what has to happen offensively. And we saw that, Collins got the ball, had a nice few runs. He took that run. He pressed the hole on that run that we showed, pressed the hole, sliced a cut, made chicken salad out of chicken poop on that play, scored a touchdown.
Better keep it PC.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want Otis coming after me here. So with
your daughter will be proud.
Yeah, you see, with that, you saw what happened is we started to go into the flea flicker. We started to throw the ball around. And what really worked for us in the first half of the game, we got the ball out of Thorne's hands quicker. We did tunnel screens to Reed. We got, tight ends involved. All those different things. It keeps the defense guessing. Second half, we went away from that and we became one-dimensional. And then the defense just sits back and eat. Otis, you know this. When you know a team's passing, you're just sitting back. You're not even worried about coming up. You're taking your drops.
Yeah.
Otis, I mean, talk about chemistry of yourself. So do you think that today's player may be a little afraid that if I give the carries or give the shine to someone else, that it may hurt me versus, hey, the ship rising with the tide. That's what we were taught, from the olden days when Nick Saban was on campus, right? He used to talk about, you win championships, Big Ten titles, national titles, more guys are all Big Ten, more guys are all American, more guys get drafted. It's just the way it is. And then sometimes you get into that me mindset and nothing happens right?
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my mind around the algorithm on when is it too soon to get pulled or to get benched. Like there's this happy medium of you want to stick with the kid. You want to make sure his confidence is up because you've seen this kid play at the highest level.
Who are we talking about here, O?
But you also see that there's opportunities that the pits, and if you get stuck in the valley, like we got to find some type of way to reset the mindset, reset the triggers, right? To reset this guy to make sure he responds in a positive manner. And I recall quickly, man, I was struggling one game, and then that next one, I didn't start. Like that was the first time I truly got benched. Like Coach D, I wasn't playing the type of ball that I was supposed to be playing, right? But woe was me. I could have been like, oh man, I'm about to transfer. I did think about that, but I felt like let me get my stuff back together, man. Like I know I can be great. I know I was playing at the highest level. I was once a starter, but that made me work harder on the other things, the elements of the other part of the game, the mental part of it. So then we fast forward, Ohio State, I'm back at it. You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things where see how a kid responds. And I'm not pulling blame on anyone on our quarterback situation, but there's times where you absolutely have to figure out how do I reset the meter up here where he played a decent ball game to what he has, right? He played a decent ball game. But we also saw some wide open throws that you just kind of scratch your head like those are the throws he made last year. So what's going on? Go ahead.
I think, you draw a great point to that, Otis, with the fact of, your personal story from that. And I think what a lot of people don't realize that sometimes when you're in there, you don't see everything. Sometimes it's about taking a step back and looking at everything, looking at the big picture. And then that's when it clicks. Just like you were in there in that starting position. Maybe you weren't in the best position to be successful at that time, but you took Coach D pulled you, you took a step back and you got that hunger, you got that chip on your shoulder back, and you saw things from a different perspective and things slowed down for you. So maybe
let's be real and honest. I was real salty though. Like,
of course,
you were, right? Like, if you're not a competitor, right? If you're not a true competitor, like you're gonna be real salty about it. But it was also the time where, all right, I'm going to make the best of what I have. I'm about to ball out on special teams. I remember homecoming; it was the absolute worst. Just running out on kickoff, like, man, this is terrible. Like. Night game, you wish you could. I didn't even get my name called to go out on defense. I'm like, all right. Now it's truly a self-reflecting conversation with me internally about I'm going to be the best cheerleader for my squad because like that's what I feel like a leader has to. Sometimes you got to take a step back, like you said, Jehuu, and really see it. Like almost I was putting too much into it. Like take all of the craziness out of it, and let's start playing ball and having fun. The game that we all love, right? Let's have fun. I feel like we're playing with so much pressure.
We're tight.
Yeah, we have nothing to lose, man. You're playing on a college football field at a Division I school. Let's just start having fun and like flying around. You don't even see any of the dancing around like we had with last year. You score. You have you have Reed doing the. All this other stuff. We don't have that right now. And I feel like we got to get that back, man. We have to.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think we're doing a lot of pressing. We're playing tight. And then maybe it is, a new person jumps in there. I know we're all talking about the same position here. A new person jumps in there, it rejuvenates the offense a little bit, gets a little spark, and then you can be able to work a couple different things in there and go from there. But I think right now we're playing tight, offensively especially.
Stray, question for you.
I got an answer.
Do you think it is detrimental to have a 1-2 quarterback system to give, to our point of our running backs, a kind of a running by committee? Is it detrimental to keep that defense guessing on, one, we do prepare for QB2, but we also know what QB1 brings, but let's figure out how we get them both some snaps with the ones, right? Let's figure out in real time, what can he do in a first half situation versus at the end of the game, and you see him gunslinging because he has all the energy in the world, versus let's see how he really operates. Because we also can be putting our foot in our mouth where we do give him those snaps earlier, and it's like, oh man, he's not ready. So we don't. Is there detrimental to that team culture or to that quarterback if we did a 1-2 situation like that team down the road was doing?
So what I think, there's two ways that you can do this as an offense, or from the top down. When you have a quarterback that's struggling a little bit, which we all know that's what's happening right now. We all know also that besides the kicker, the quarterbacks are fragile as far as the way that they conduct themselves, and you got to be a little gentle with them as you bring them along. We all know that is a fact as well. But when you look at what's going on right now with Michigan State, and we talked about it, I think it was a tweet that went out on our behalf about Noah Kim, if Peyton Thorne doesn't take care of the football. Now, he was fortunate in this ball game that he had, I believe it was 2 interceptions overturned because of penalties. So there was no true turnover from Peyton Thorne. But I think about it like this: if you either have him on a short leash, if there is a turnover, and then as they do in basketball, right? You hear Mateen Cleaves talk about Izzo would bring him and sit him down next to him sometimes because he wasn't playing the best ball, right? And he told him, he set him down, like, why you sit me down? He said, because I don't want you out there embarrassing yourself like you're doing right now. And it gave him a different perspective, SJU, as you just said, on what the hell is going on out there. Because sometimes you can get very tunnel vision. The other way, you can do the quarterback by committee, similar to what, you've seen Kirk Cousins doing that with Keith Nickel. There was, as they were competing for the starting job. You also see Damian Terry with Tyler, I forget the other guy.
O'Connor, yeah.
O'Connor, you've seen that in Ohio State, and they were able to come up with a W because Connor Cook was hurt. So there's been situations that has been effective, but you have a guy who's the heir apparent starter. Like he balled out last year. He was the guy. He is the guy. So there's no real competition, so to speak. But I think there is time now for him if he continues to turn the ball over, because you got to protect your house first. The season's not lost. There's only been 5 games. I get it. They've got 3 losses, and I know that there's Murderers Row coming up. However, there's a lot of issues going on in Madison right now. Okay, a lot of issues over there. It's not the game that we thought it was going to be in the preseason that it's going to be now. But whatever, we'll get to that in 2 weeks. But you look at where we are right now, and I think it is time for Michigan State to really have a short leash, because you can't continue to do that. You need people. There's plays though. We can show this play here where there's a breakdown where Peyton Thorne is clearly looking for a receiver. Something's not right. He takes off and runs for a first down. He doesn't get up and celebrate. Look, if you see him right there, he's talking to Jaden Reed as if, Jaden, you missed something. And Jaden responds with the, oh, dang, I messed up. Now, these are guys who've been playing together since Pee Wee. And they're not on the same page right now for whatever reason. I know Jaden's not 100%, and we could tell the running game's not 100%, and Peyton Thorne definitely is not 100%. So there's a lot of things that are going on that need to get fixed from behind the scenes on the practice field, and then from the top down. Decisions need to be made as far as who gets to play what, and like how long of a leash do you give Peyton Thorne if things get ugly this weekend against Ohio State. So to answer your question, I appreciate your honesty, Otis, when you just talked about how you felt when you were benched. Because there's not a player in America. There's not a player that has played at this level or above in America who hasn't thought about quitting, who hasn't thought of that. This ain't the place for me. This ain't the game for me. There's not a player. So all those guys out there that are thinking that they're the only ones that are feeling this way, and that's why I'm going to hurry up and put my name in the transfer portal, or this coach sucks. All the coaches suck when it comes to that, because they all tell you, you're not good enough, because that's what it's about. It's about challenging you. It's about mental conditioning, as we heard Coach Mel Tucker talk about in that press conference. He said, you got to have more reps. It's about how you respond. That's what they're looking for. How do you respond to the adversity? Plenty of adversity to go around for the Spartans right now, right? Plenty of adversity to go around, but it's all about the response. It's not about what happened. No poor me's. I think we've all been in that position where we could have been, oh, man, this, they're no good, man. I mean, I'm tired, man. What time of day is it right now? Oh, yeah. I mean, it doesn't stop right after football's over, guys. Does it stop?
Nope.
You said you have challenges now in your life.
Who we need to bring on is our guy, Clifton Ryan. And the stuff that he talks about is, like, quit blaming everybody else for your career. Like, it's you, right? Like, I can't say, oh, if it wasn't for my 5 knee surgeries, I would have been in the league longer. Man, no, man. Like, there's ways that I could have fought through that, but clearly God had a different plan, right? So look at yourself in the mirror and say, what can I do to get better for the next day? And what can I do to have fun in this game, right? Because, like, I'm not trying to, like, I'm like about to, my sermon, I'm about to close in like 5 minutes.
Come on now, bring it home, Pastor.
I saw you put the hymn on our last episode. I think it's just, where's our identity, man? Like, we gotta get it. We gotta get it back. We gotta get it back, man. Like, if it's the whole team need to go down to the water and truly get baptized and come out whole again, like, we gotta get better back to that energized Spartan football where, at the very least, at the end of the game, which me and Jehuu, and I think you as well, Stray, is that regardless of the win or loss, that team that we play is going to be bruised and battered. And I feel like teams are coming and playing us,
don't feel it,
and they don't feel a darn thing, man. Like, they come out just like fresh. And at the very
behind carrying their Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, like coming in to, just we got to get back to that, man. The woodshed has not been the woodshed in this true statement, true fashion. We're not whooping on people when they come into town or when we go to their spot.
Now, you know what? To that point, what makes me, I think, the most proud, it's not people telling you all this stuff about you were all Big Ten, you were this, you were a captain, and Ohio State victory. All that stuff is great, but I'm on the West Coast, right? And I run into a guy who played for Notre Dame. Came out in 1997. Now this is before your time. And 97 was the first year that we started that win streak on the road in South Bend. I think it was like 7-8 years, whatever it was. It was a lot of years of winning, beating the out of Notre Dame. Okay, there was a lot of years of that, and
but the beep. I'm just playing.
Right. Peter back there with that beep button.
What he said to me was, "Man, you played at Michigan State." He said, "Man, all we ever thought was like, this is going to be a physical game. Like, all week long, they prepared for war and battle. They said, we might win this game, but it ain't going to feel like we won when we come out." And I said, "Yeah, and you didn't win either." So that when you meet a peer who represents and can see and say, "Look, I played you guys, and the brand of football that you guys bring was physical." I mean, to me, that's football. That's what football is. It's not the razzle dazzle, this and that. Like, and to your point, guys, I did see guys bouncing off of Terrapin players. I've never seen that in my life. I've never seen a defense bounce off of offensive Maryland Terrapin players. And we saw that this past weekend. And I don't know if guys are, obviously there's injuries, right? And we can talk about the injuries. We can put up a depth chart right here. You can see, I mean, when you start the season and you lose Xavier Henderson. You lose Darius Snow. And this is for clearly so you can understand this. Then you lose Jacob Slade.
Yep.
And you use Petrowski at the 4. Then you come back and you lose Bogle. I mean, that's 5 key figures in your essentially your front 7, but really, Xavier is a quarterback of that secondary. You take those guys, now you're replacing them with guys who are obviously less in experience. Maybe not a huge talent drop off, but definitely younger and newer to the program. And the void of that voice being on the field is damaging. It's just what it is. So Michigan State, it was one thing that was very encouraging this week to see Xavier Henderson on the road. He was there on the sideline, and you guys got a chance to spend some time with him, right?
Yeah, with a little slight jog and a little pep in his step, man. So, giving him a little dap and a little hug, like he's basically, we're close. I'm on the way, basically, right? And, you kind of look at it from a being selfish standpoint of, don't rush back, man. Like you got a long career ahead of you, right? Like get ready for the next level. But that's not the type of guy he is, man. But Jehuu, could speak on the point of this guy is coaching these boys up, man. Like I look at I'm being optimistic here. We got young guys who are getting mad experience right now. We might be taking these huge losses, which, it's very disappointing that based off of last season coming in this season, but those young guys getting the experience, game speed, game time experience is going to build warriors for this next season. Like, I'm not saying I'm giving up on the season. We're looking forward to one, but it should be confident for a Spartan Nation that we have young guys finally able to get experience, regardless of what it may be. They may get beat, but they're going to live and learn from that standpoint. And so it's very confident, it's very encouraging to see that we're all taking these losses together, and then in that moment we're going to respond with a better outcome, hopefully later down this season.
The really good thing, Otis, to your point, to see Xavier Henderson, back out there. And one of the biggest things I'm going to be so excited for, it's going to be very emotional whenever he does return. But the really good thing was seeing him out there coaching these guys, during timeouts. He's in the middle of the huddle, getting them ready, getting them in the right position to be successful. So I think that's something that's going to be, that's going to go a long ways with him and his teammates. And a guy that is an unsung hero on that defense, Mr. Brantley. He's the guy that pound for pound, the toughest hitter on that team. Really love
that first play. I was like,
look at him come up there.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah. Had Maryland deep in their own territory, and he comes up with the big stick right there.
Yeah, like that's that dog right there, man. I get chills about that. Like, It's like we hitting Jehuu when he comes down through the middle of the field. I finally got him, man. Like, I finally got him.
Oh man, gotta love Charles Brantley. And then Otis, I know we gotta wrap up soon, but we're gonna talk about the secondary issues continue, right? You see the bright light of the secondary right now is Charles Brantley. You've seen a little bit of movement happen in this season, this game with Angelo Jello Gross moving from his safety position down to the nickel spot. How do you think he fared?
I think he held his own. I mean, from a standpoint of, you can tell that, first time going out there. It was when you play, like you already understand, like when you fully get to play, like the pressure, the stress, you don't want to mess up, because if you mess up, you quickly like lose that platform, like that quickly, like, oh, he wasn't ready, versus like do what you do best, go out there and just play ball. And I think getting some young, fresh minds out there, some speed, he held his own. I think it's really like, how can we get clicking on every level at the same time? Like our linebackers getting reroutes on these slot receivers. We can't let people just go free and run without getting a hand on them. Like it works in tandem with everything from the pressure to the linebackers getting reroutes, dropping in hook curls, and the safeties being on top of those routes, man. Like, I feel like we're just not close enough to even make a pass breakup. Like, we got to be there, hit to pocket, aggressive. We're also losing sight of our DNA of pressing. Like, I'd rather live and die by the press.
Right.
Live and die by it. We get beat. who cares, man? But I'd rather punch them in the mouth, slow them down gradually as they're like, this is a battle every time I got to come off the line. And at that point, like, we're guarding the best crew or the best receiving core with Keon Coleman and Reed every day. So why can't we do that there with our opponents? So I think that's what we want to look at this whole week, is preparing for Ohio State crew who's coming in, and they are ready to stock us right now, looking at this game of, this is where I'm going to put my stats up all the way. Let's go ahead and just hit that in the mouth right from jump. And if that mindset is, we're going to compete to the end, because that's what we see. We competed to the end. It was the mental breaks that was like self-inflicted wounds that we just can't do when we're playing top talent in Ohio State and Wisconsin and Michigan.
Yeah, without question. And I think there were some positives to take from that. You know, as you just stated there, Otis, and from the defensive side of the ball, you saw another great goal line stand. And we're going to show a little bit of that here. Another great goal line stand. Michigan State offensively wasn't able to get much going in that second half to speak of. But what I'm going to talk about real quick is the third down. So right here, you're going to see a 3rd and 9 from Michigan State. Scotty Hazelton dials up a blitz, brings up linebackers right over the guard and centers. They come in with the stunt. They put pressure on him. Look, he gets off his spot. He throws an incomplete pass or just tries to throw a screen, and it doesn't work. They have to attempt a field goal, which they did. You know, he's upset, but the pressure affects him. Now we'll go here to this 3rd and 6. Subsequently, we do let's just sit back. Rush 3 or 4, barely. It's 3rd and 6. As you said, Otis, the second level just is there waiting for the guy to catch the ball at the 6-yard line, and then he crosses for a first down. I don't understand that. You hear it at the NFL level that the great quarterbacks, the more you blitz them, the more they destroy you, right? When you're facing Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, the more you blitz them, they'll just eat you alive. But at this level, at some point, you got to put pressure on these quarterbacks to make them make the quick decision and to challenge them and make them prove that they're an elite quarterback, right?
Oh, I agree. I mean, keep them guessing, man. Like you saw last night with the Kansas City Chiefs and Patriots game, is that to the left, you don't even see, it's trips left. You don't even see that corner kind of incognito hiding there. And Mahomes doesn't even see it. It even happened to Brady too. Like he doesn't even see it. And I feel like the disguising of it, like let's bring some speed off of that side from a corner blitz standpoint, where let's send Brentley on that corner blitz and see if he gets home, right? He may get chipped, but at least he's going to put some pressure on it. I mean, he's our best cover corner, but they would never guess that he's coming through, right? And I think those are the elements of I need to who's coming this time. Like I need to know who's coming. Like at least have somebody coming with pressure. But if you sit down and you get your linemen coming, and they're getting double blocked or getting chipped. He's just sitting back there licking his chops. And historically, you can't cover longer than 3.5, 4 seconds. Like if you go further than that, man, it's fast, it's quick, and they can just run everywhere across the field, and you got to keep up. But there's no pressure to at least get him to throw a bad pass or to second guess, where at least we get a sack. So I think that's the element of surprise is what we got to make sure we keep these quarterbacks doing. And we got a quarterback that we're going to meet this weekend who is a stud. And we got to do something to make sure that he's off his game because he's coming in here expecting to truly build his stats. And so how do we keep him going? Go ahead, Jehuu.
Well, the thing that you talk about bringing pressure from an offensive standpoint, what that does is it takes things away from having possibly a 4 or 5 man route to possibly just a 3-man route combo out there, because you have to have your running back in for protection, and sometimes you might leave your tight end in. If you're having trouble with that D end, or they're doing stunts and everything, you keep your tight end in, and next thing you know, you just have a 3-man pressure, and it's putting more time on the quarterback, and they have to go back to their routes, to timing routes, as opposed to elongated routes. Route combination. So that's one of the things from the offensive side. When a team is blitzing a lot, you have to have someone in to help them in protection.
Well, great insight, guys. We could break this thing down to its most granular form. And that's why we'll have to come back again for another show. We're going to come back in a couple of days for the Ohio State preview show. This was the Maryland recap, and I mean, there's a lot of things to go around and get better from, but I know that the Michigan State coaches are going to be doing their best right now to get those guys ready to play a game against the highly touted Ohio State Buckeyes, who bring in a Heisman Trophy candidate in C.J. Stroud and a very, very good defense. And, so any final thoughts for you, Otis?
Yeah, I think one, plugging in for our next episode, we're going to have one of the Spartan greats, one of me and Jehu's teammate, on with us, and Drew Stanton, number 5, quarterback who truly knows what it's like to be a competitor, highly competitive out there. We talk about, is that downriver or upriver, Jehu, where he's from?
Downriver.
Downriver.
Drew,
Farmington
area.
Farmington area.
Right? Come on, man. That ain't downriver.
But he was born in Oregon.
Yeah. So we're going to have number 5 on, man. He's going to give us kind of that true breakdown from the quarterback perspective of, like, what do we need to do to get back on track? I'm excited about that. But lastly, I think practice, man, this is that opportunity to truly find the depths of our souls and, like, truly find who we are in these moments where everyone's turning against you. Everyone's questioning what you are, who you are as a team, personally. And I think that's where you find who your true selves are. So I'm going to drop that knowledge bomb there next week, this weekend. I can't wait to talk on Wednesday about what's to come out for the weekend. So back to you, Jehu.
Back to you, Jehu.
Take us home, baby.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to follow that up, but except for the fact is we just, we got to put Maryland behind us. I said it last week, you have to have memory like a fish. You have to do that. Learn from the mistakes. Look at the things that you did well, improve upon it. And this week in practice, just stack good days on top of good days, and you come out ready to play. I'm excited for the Ohio State preview. I'm excited Drew's going to be joining us. We're going to have some great stories. We're going to, have a lot of fun. If you're going to the game this weekend, stop by Tucktown, presented by Meyer, to see me. There'll be DJ booths, everything.
We're going to have some tickets?
You gotta talk to Otis.
We at least got 4.
We at least got 4.
Yeah,
we at least got 4.
Stop by Tucktown. Check
We're
me
going
out
more
there.
things for the people, Otis. Come on now. People need to.
Are you not entertained?
Them doggone Buckeyes going to try to buy up all the tickets out there, Spartan Nation. Don't let them do it to us now. Don't let them make this a home stadium for them. Don't let them do that. So please show up and support the guys. I mean, look, they need you now. It's easy to cheer for a winner. You need to be there. This is what Spartans are about, baby. We're 300, man. What's the battle, Jehu? What's the battle that the 300 Spartans went through?
Putting you on the spot.
My daughter's sleeping. I can't go with that. Spartans, what is your profession? I can't go.
No, I just said the battle that they were in. I know that. We don't have to.
Oh, the Battle of Thermopylae.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're going through right now. The Battle of Thermopylae in the woodshed.
All this is going to cut. All this is going to be edited out.
That's what we're doing, man. So, that was a battle to see that the Spartans, I don't think any of them made it out alive, but look, they did put on a hell of a show. Okay? All right, they took a lot of people with them. Okay, they felt
all
it.
This is edited out.
To say they felt it, didn't they?
Hey, you need to
they
keep
walk
this.
out of there going like, "Oh, where's my Chick-fil-A?" No.
Keep this.
So that'll put a bow on this show, man. Thanks to my co-hosts Otis Wiley and Jehuu Jehuu Caulcrick. We'll see you guys next time on the next episode of This is Sparta. Have a good night. God bless, and go green.
Go white.
Go white.
Man, I got this swag. My hand up to my back.